on, Jamie, let's pop off right now. We got to get started.
We gotta go.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's get the people in the chat. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hit and Hustle Morning After Recap, brought to you by irishsportsdaily.com. I am your host, Greg Flamong. It is Sunday, September 10th. The start of the NFL football season in full, right? The first game was on Thursday. And today everyone's team kicks off. So, happy NFL day for everyone who celebrates that. For me, lifelong Baltimore Ravens fan since April 2022. So looking forward to that. My guy, Kyle Hamilton, is he's going to be a full-time starter this year after playing in a reserve role, very similar to his second year at Notre Dame, right? His first year at Notre Dame, he was a freshman, and he was a reserve, and now he's a full-time starter. So that's a very exciting time. This is the morning after Notre Dame's 45-24 victory over NC State in very heavy rain, lightning conditions that caused a delay in the game for the second time, or the weather the second time. Last time Notre Dame was there, there was a similar problem. So, but Notre Dame, they came out and they started slow and then ended up blowing out NC State. Would have been much nicer if it ended up 45-17, but anytime you have a 3-touchdown victory on the road in your first ACC game, that's going to be a good outcome. So we're going to talk about that, stats, snap counts, whatever the chat wants to talk about. That is going to be what this show is. And that's what this show is every single week, the morning after. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If this is your first time catching me, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the show. That would be awesome. If you could do that, that would be very cool. That would make my morning. That would make my day. If you haven't subscribed already, if you could please do that, that really helps out the show. And if you want, you could click the notification bell. That lets you know that we are going live. If you prefer the audio format to this show or any of our Hit and Hustle shows, links to the podcast are in the description below. And before I get going, I do want to talk to you about ESQ Clothing, the official sponsor, or one of the sponsors of the Hit and Hustle show. It has created the world's first bamboo dress shirt, founded by Ga Wang, Notre Dame alum. It is crafted from high-quality bamboo fabric. It's the softest and most comfortable shirt you'll ever put on. Not only more sustainable than cotton, it feels cooler, has stretch, is odor and wrinkle-resistant, and it's machine washable. You've seen ESQ's one-piece collar bamboo dress shirt all over the country, and it's the perfect shirt for today's business meeting or heading for a night out. Use ISD 15 and get 15% off all online items. Again, ISD 15, 15% off all online items. All right, our Zalamea is here. Yo, ISD, great game. Great game after offensive and defensive adjustments took place. Quarterback rattled, recovered, monitoring. Kicker with leg cannon. I like that, leg cannon. New young talent continues to be showcased. Yeah, I don't think. I think that did they take too long? I mean, it basically was a quarter. They struggle. I mean, defensively they didn't struggle in the beginning, so that's not. But offensively, it took them a quarter. I think once they came back from after the delay. And really, they had the long, the field goal drive. They had kind of adjusted at that point. I think then they really had a better idea of how they wanted to attack NC State. It was kind of a different team after the initial 3 and out. So I thought they did a good job there. ND for life, thank you for being here. He says, good morning, Mr. TVP. Love how aggressive Freeman has been with the timeouts before halftime in every game. Hartman is so calm in the 2-minute drill. Yes, Marcus Freeman has been very adamant about winning the middle 8, and he did it again. It looked like they were going to struggle in the middle 8 in this game. In the middle 8, for as a reminder, is the final 4 minutes of the first half and the first 4 minutes of coming out of halftime. It looked like they were going to struggle there. NC State drove the field, got into the end zone for their first touchdown of the game to make it 10-7. Marcus Freeman uses his timeouts in order to give his offense another opportunity, and they pay it off by getting into the end zone very quickly. Probably too quick for his liking because NC State had 3 touchdowns, but I think giving his team a chance. We talked about it on the instant reaction show last night. They are NC State was never running out of time. They had first and goal, and they had 3 timeouts left with over a minute to go. I think it was a minute 28 or a little bit more than a minute. NC State was never running after time at that point. So preserve the time on your end because they are happy to let the clock run down so that Notre Dame doesn't get the ball back. Preserve the time on your end and give your offense a chance. Possessions are everything. He really understood that. I love that. I love him doing that. So this is a very good comment by Mr. TVP. CFB Hertz says we need to find estimate a concession stand hot dog before every carry. I mean, it's he's undefeated. He eats a hot dog and runs for 80-yard touchdown, the longest of his career. So I definitely agree. Let's get that going. Patrick Nolan says, anyone notice the Tobias hustle on the estimate touchdown? I noticed it running after the play. Good job by him. Always want to make sure. Quest for Greatness says, great day to be an Irish fan. Good morning. Thanks for another show, Greg. We knew Tobias would show up. Great catch. Yes, it's been there for 2 weeks. I said, just because they haven't thrown it doesn't mean it's not available. Kind of the same with Holden Stays. He had 1 catch going into the game, and he comes up with a huge game, 4 catches for 115 yards. I think that was, that's been available to them. Tobias Merriweather has been available to them. Both had their opportunities in this game, and they both came through. I also want to point out, Tobias had a very big 3rd down reception that was wiped out by the offensive pass interference on Jaden Greathouse, but still made the kind of the sliding catch there on a 3rd and 5, I believe it was, which was a big pickup for Notre Dame had it not been wiped out for a penalty. So I think that's just, he gets his opportunities and he comes through in the opportunities. That's all you can ask for. And I know there's going to be, some consternation about the fact that Jaden Thomas didn't catch a pass in this game. And I would say it's the same issue as Tobias, right? Not a ton of targets. I think he was targeted on the 1 play where he could have caught it going out of bounds, didn't make the catch. But other players stepped up. Notre Dame coaches got other players involved, and those players made plays. That's what you want. That's what you want from a team. No one is going to do big numbers on this team. I was just looking at it. There is no wide receiver or running back or tight end that is on pace to catch more than 35 passes this year. They're spreading the ball around, and that's been working for them, right? This isn't to say that some wide receiver or tight end isn't going to establish themselves as more of a number 1, start catching 5-6 passes a game. But at the moment, that's where it stands right now. And on that note, something I noticed today, Jaden Greathouse continues to log the least amount of snaps from the wide receivers. Now, he's tied for the team lead with catches with 8. He has 3 touchdown catches now. The touchdown that he caught in this game was a great catch. B, probably the best throw of Sam Hartman's 3 games at Notre Dame. Terrific throw over the linebacker in front of the safety on a line. That was a seed. Great throw by Sam Hartman. He had a shaky start to start the game. I think that's fair to say. A little bit shaky. But he, look, he stepped up. He overcame it. The coaches put him in good positions, and so he came through. So that's a good job by him. Able Gaming says, Tobias got run down by a linebacker with a 5-yard head start. Thought Tobias ran a 4.4 according to his coach. Couple things on that. That linebacker was flying, literally flying. He is very fast. The linebacker was outrunning safeties on the way to Tobias. The other part about that is the play before, if you look, I was watching yesterday. I was watching the game back. The play before, Tobias runs a streak, and then he comes back, and then he runs a crosser. And, he had just sprinted down the field. So now he is sprinting again. That probably took a little bit of juice off of him, because I think on the when he chased down Estime, I think that he was certainly running fast on that one when Tobias ran out. So I think he was just a little bit tired. I think the linebacker is an absolute smoke show. And so, it is what it is. Obviously, he'll get grief for that, because that's the way it goes in the locker room. And that's just that's just how it is. So 1 second, I need to send out the tweet. I usually send out the tweet that I am live, and I didn't do that. Bad job by me. There we go. All right, so let's get some more comments. Charles Faber, should we talk about the officiating? That was brutal. Some of the calls, like the offside. So the Notre Dame had a bunch of offsides calls. There was the one on the Jack Kaiser. The Jack Kaiser, that was a false start. What would be the left guard? He's leaning back. That's illegal. The center is moving all over the place. When they're making the cadence, he's moving. He's putting his head down. Whether it's like there's so much movement up front, I don't think you can bang him for offsides there. If you watch, like, the left guard is leaning backwards, and so he gets caught there. That wasn't cool. I didn't appreciate that. The penalty on Ben Morrison is a disgrace, absolute disgrace. I would give a similar designation to the roughing the passer on Jason Anye. You have him, he taps the helmet, and you have Sam Hartman getting tackled by his neck, and one is called and one isn't. Which one of those is the more dangerous play for a quarterback? I would love to hear about that. That's a disgrace. Can't make those calls. Some of the other calls, I thought the OPI on Greathouse, you could definitely call it. He definitely made contact. It's negligible, to say the least, but they could call it, and they did. The hold on Thomas Harper was probably a hold, right? So I think that was a fair call, but I just didn't appreciate a lot of that stuff, especially the unsportsmanlike on Morrison, and the roughing the passer on Anya. I thought that was ridiculous. Dump off on Tyree. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was, sloppiest. The kind of play won't get us past OSU, Clemson, USC. I mean, that's true. I think that, like the way that Ohio State played offensively against Indiana probably won't get it done either. Like you are building, right? And I think that it helps that Notre Dame got to see, a team like NC State and the way that they blitz and the way that they bring people. NC State bought pressure on 48% of their pass attempts. That's a lot, right? Like you're blitzing half the time. You're sending multiple players. Notre Dame needs to figure that out. I didn't think the offensive line did a great job with that. On the flea flicker, that the flea flicker needs to be blocked better. They only brought 3. They had a 3-man line. They didn't bring a bunch of bodies. Rocco just got blown up, and that really messed up the play. The safeties, the secondary didn't bite on that, but at the same time, Sam Hartman would probably still be able to throw the ball up to Tobias and try to give him a jump ball opportunity. It just didn't. I didn't think it. It didn't need to go that way. Rocco needs to do a better job. I didn't love the call, just based on the way that NC State had been playing, but the call itself would have been fine, and they wouldn't have had an intentional grounding if Rocco just blocks his guy. So that's important. But look, it's the first time they've seen a defense like that, him and Pat Coogan. So you adjust and you move on to the next game. But thank you for the comment, Andres. That's not an unfair opinion. Let's see. Let's see what CMAC has to say here. Greg, I stated yesterday Freeman concerns me with playing too many players on defense. The young players are better than vets. Sneed needs to play a lot more. Junior needs to play a lot more. Are you worried about safety? Ooh, this is not the game to be worried about safety. The safeties played one of the best games as a unit that they've played at Notre Dame. I mean, Xavier Watts was all over the field. DJ Brown was making plays back there. Ramon Henderson was making plays back there. I mean, if you want to count Thomas Harper in that group, he's more of a nickel, not really a safety, but he played a great game. I thought the safeties were on point in the game. So I'm not worried about the safeties at all, just based on what they did, right? They were assignment sound. I don't have a problem with what they're doing, with the rotations and everything. I don't think the young players are necessarily better than the veterans. It's hard because like a guy like Cam Hart, right? Like he gives up the one catch for a 38-yarder, which is good coverage, right? He can obviously do better, prevent the catch. And that's a big catch, and it was a bad time in the game for it. But they targeted him 5 times. He gave up one catch. I mean, if you give up 20% completions in a game, you're doing a good job, right? And he had 2 breakups on the game, so it's hard for me to bang on Cam Hart had a bad game because of the one play. I mean, Ben Morrison gave up a touchdown pass, right? Like, so that's not good, but on the rest of it, he played great. So let's see. What did you think of the hands to the face call? I didn't really look at it. I didn't look at that one. I'd have to go back and look. I mean, I think he had hands to the face, I think. But if he could have, if he could have called it the other way as well, then I think offsetting that. I think that's totally fair. Here's a good question from Dan Williamson. Greg, thinking the starters need more reps against CMU than I would have thought to be ready for Ohio State. I think that's a good take, actually. I think that's a fair take from Dan, because I do think that it's not that I think they quote unquote need the reps. It's just that you want your main players to really get into the year now. You want those guys to be sharp. You want them to be in the season game ready to compete and be basically sharp, right? You don't want, like, I don't want, and I haven't really gone into Central Michigan yet. Jamie on the show yesterday said they weren't very good, so that's something to monitor going forward, and we're gonna be checking that out during the week. But I don't want a situation where Sam Hartman's only playing half the game. I don't want that, and I don't want like wholesale changes. Like, Notre Dame plays a lot of players anyway, so that's something to keep in mind. But I want Notre Dame starters out there. And if that means scoring a couple more touchdowns than you might normally with your starters against Central Michigan, then so be it. Notre Dame has goals that they want to reach, and they need their players to be ready to go. And so I don't love the idea of, benching, putting your starters down at like halftime or the third quarter. Like, let them get a full game. We're in the season now. Let's get these guys. Let's make sure they're sharp. Let's make sure they're not, they're fit and everything. I mean, obviously, if you have injuries, that's one thing. But I would like to see Notre Dame play a lot. So I think this is a fair take from Dan. Thank you for being on the show. Quest for Greatness says, is it me or is Zeke Correll constantly on his butt? Tough game yesterday for him in a couple of moments. And same with the guards, too. The entire offensive line had some tough moments. So I think that's a fair take. Let's see. CFB Hurt says, my only concern at safety is that Watts had 72 snaps. Feel like we need to find a way to get him a breather every now and then. I don't have a problem with that. And the reason is that his snaps on the season are fairly low. You know, he is not logging just like a ton of snaps. So let me just see here. Let's see. Total snaps for the season. He is at 133 through 3 games. So what is that? 60 something a game, right? That's fine. That's not too much for him. DJ Brown's also at 133. And then you've got Ramon Henderson at 92. And it's going to be those 3 guys. I'm okay with it, right? I don't think that he's going to, break down or anything. I guess what CFB hurts. If you want to monitor that, I think that's fair. He probably won't log that many this week. There'll probably be a pretty big rotation there. But let's monitor that. CFB hurts. We'll monitor. Yeah, C-Mac, that's fine. Outside of Watts, I thought DJ Brown played well, and I think Ramon Henderson's been playing really well this year as well. So I don't have, aside from those 3, I guess if you want to talk about lack of depth there, then I guess that's fair. That's probably a fair take. But there's time to develop that. Charles Faber asks, Greg, when rewatching, did you notice the wide receivers getting open, or are they struggling? Hartman seemed a little more confused than in the last 2 games, so maybe that was the issue. I think early there was too much pressure for Notre Dame's receivers to get into their routes. That's something that, they need to kind of work on. I'm a little bit concerned about, hold on, I got to send this text message. My daughter is getting picked up from her soccer game, and the person who's taking her needs the address. So Notre Dame's taking too long to get into their routes on some of these, like the one right before on the missed field goal, right before the missed field goal attempt. They're running mesh, and you have Flores and Greathouse crossing each other. They don't get across, like they don't cross each other's face before the blitzer gets there. Takes too long. Like Hartman can't throw the ball with 2 players crossing each other in the middle of the field. Like and they're both open. They both end up breaking open, but it's too late. Like that stuff needs to happen quicker. I think some of the plays they were calling were a little bit too long developing for the type of pressure that NC State was bringing. And it also didn't help that they weren't running the ball either. So like you're looking at 3rd and long, and so you need to get into longer routes, right, to get to the first down marker. So I think it's not so much a lack of being able to get open. Like their players can get open. It's just that it's taking them a little bit too long. And something to keep an eye on is, the team speed at wide receiver. I think Tobias is very capable of getting vertical quickly. I think Chris Tyree is, obviously, but they haven't sent him vertical, so it kind of doesn't matter how fast he is. They're not using him in that way. But, Greathouse, not the fastest guy. Jaden Thomas, not the fastest guy. Rico Flores, Deion Colsey, like these aren't the fastest guys. And so that's kind of an issue for Notre Dame and something to keep an eye on, just going forward. So, I don't think that Hartman was confused. I think he was just waiting for guys to get open. It was taking a little bit too long. Let's see. How many snaps did Rico and Greathouse get? Let's check it out. I want to say Greathouse had 12. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Let me refresh this. I want to say Greathouse had 12 and Flores had 17. I'm working off of memory there, so just give me 1 second and I will check it out. Total. Let's see. Greathouse 12, Flores 17. So I did remember correctly. Deion Colsey 14, Greathouse 12, Jaden Thomas 48, Tobias Merriweather 32. This is all out of 63 total snaps. Well, kind of 60 60 total for the starters, for the main players, because of there were 3 snaps for the backups. So that's that. Mitchell Evans with 59 snaps out of 63 basically went the whole way, which is interesting. Wouldn't have expected that. Definitely wouldn't have expected that. So Watts has played as many snaps in 3 games as Travis Hunter played yesterday. Unbelievable, that guy. Man, they are running him into the ground. I'm interested to see how it goes. Interested to see how that goes. Let's see. Ed S. I'm just going to say Ed S. I don't know how to say the last name. Sorry, man. What is the rule? You can't grab the helmet, face mask, or jersey in a horse collar, but is it legal to tackle around the actual neck? If illegal, it was so obvious. Yeah, I don't know. I need to check on that. Can you tackle someone by the neck? Can you clothesline someone? Feel like that should be illegal. Feel like that should be an illegal play, but we'll see. Justin Alexander, how did Tyree and Merriweather get caught from behind by linebackers? I agree that they are our fastest guys on the edge, but they aren't playing fast. I think these guys. Well, I don't think Chris Tyree got caught by a linebacker. I'm not sure that happened, but look, man, it's the new world. Linebackers can run. Peyton Wilson can run. He is fast. I mean, if you're fast, you're fast. I don't know what to say, whether you're a linebacker or whether you're a safety or whether you're anything. If you're fast and you can run, then you're fast. That's all it is. Being a linebacker doesn't mean anything at this point. So, I mean, they can run. Andy Davis says Notre Dame needs a legitimate dude at wide receiver. I think that's true. And it isn't to take away from like Jaden Thomas or anything like that. It's his first year in the kind of the role as being Notre Dame's wide receiver 1. It's tough for him to be the guy. Like against Ohio State, they are going to pressure him. They're going to pressure him. They are going to get in their face. Like Ohio State is going to be a souped up version of NC State defensively. That's what they're going to be. You need the receivers to win some one-on-ones in that one. That's going to be a very tough test. Very tough test. For as much as Ohio State struggled offensively against Indiana, they did not defensively. That is a good defense. They will blitz. They will be aggressive. They are good. That's a real defense there. So I do think that they need someone to emerge. I don't want to say like it needs to happen, and if it doesn't happen, like bad on the defense or bad on the wide receivers. Like sometimes we can't ask them to be something they're not ready to be, right? Just because it needs to happen doesn't mean it's fair. Like the receivers didn't recruit, right? They just showed up. They asked Notre Dame's coaches asked them to show up, and they did. So that's how it has to be. But they do need someone. Okay, C-Mac, I see it. How much longer can Freeman Rudolph continue with this Fisher right tackle? He's a left guard, left tackle, right-handed, and right tackle is very uncomfortable for him. To answer the question, how much longer can Freeman Rudolph continue this with Fisher? They will continue it as long as Joe Alt is playing left tackle for Notre Dame. That's how long it's going to happen. It is what it is. Like he has to get used to it. I don't think he's playing like I don't think he's been like he's going to be a first round pick so far this year. That's not the case. But I don't think he's been like terrible, right? Like maybe he's underachieving to expectations, but he's been a good football player for Notre Dame. He certainly hasn't been a liability, right? If he's had some rough moments, then he has had some rough moments. He's got to get ready for that. But and he's got to improve on those things. But if it's uncomfortable, it's uncomfortable. They're going to do it as long as Joe Alt is over there. That's just how it's going to be. So that's how long it's going to continue. Let's see. Michael Hahn says the wide receiver situation is the last parting gift of Brian Kelly refusing to fire his last wide receiver coach. 2 years of basically no wide receiver recruiting. I think, that's true. Part of it, though, is like they really needed to not strike out in the portal this year. I mean, that they tried to bring in somebody and he ended up not being on the team. Like that is a big miss opportunity for Notre Dame. They knew they needed someone in the portal and they didn't get anyone in the portal. So Brian Kelly put them in this situation, yes, but you do need to. You are like Notre Dame and every other school has the ability to remedy itself through the portal, and they didn't. That's a problem. Okay, so that's on this coaching staff, for sure. That's their fault. So it's like I don't want to completely absolve and take a shot at Brian Kelly or Dell when this is 2 straight years where Notre Dame needed someone out of the portal. They didn't get anybody at this position. So that's a bad job by them. Let's see. 92 Chris ND says, I didn't like the tackle by the neck on Hartman either. It seems like 99 Riley Mills did the same move on the Navy quarterback in week 0. It looks suspect then too. I don't remember the Riley Mills one. I don't like that's why I'm saying maybe it's okay, right? Maybe if you don't grab their face mask and you don't hit them in the helmet, then it's fine. Notre Dame's coaches didn't seem like they were making a big to-do about it. Sam Hartman didn't make a big to-do about it. So I think it's I don't think it's that big a deal. They didn't make it a big deal, but I don't know. I'd have to check it out. CFB Hurt says he's never seen it penalized. Maybe I've seen it penalized. I don't know. It just seems like a clothesline would be. It just seems like it would be outlawed, but it hasn't been. So maybe it's not, right? Again, it wasn't a big deal. Justin Alexander says, I don't think Tyree is slow at all. The kick return against Wisconsin was explosive. I just found it odd that he was closed on so fast. Yeah, he's not slow. He's not a slow player. I think that he at some point realized that, like, I can show you plenty of clips where Rocket has the ball in the open field and he sees defenders and he starts to kind of chop his feet and decide what he wants to do, and a player behind him just tracks him down, right? Like that happens. So he's fine. I don't think he's slow, and it's kind of not worth talking about either. Justin Alexander says the bigger issue I think is we have as a team is the 3 and out, slow starts to games, and we are very susceptible to blitzes up the middle. They didn't handle the blitz well in this game. The offensive line or Sam Hartman, to be clear about that. He didn't handle it very well. The offensive line didn't handle it very well. I don't want to make too much of the slow start in this game because A, I think it was predictable, and B, it's a one game thing. It is the first time they played a defense with these kind of players and with this kind of speed and this kind of ability. Like we do, like it is a 4-quarter game. And we do have to take heed of the fact that they ended up scoring 45 points on NC State. That is not a thing that happens. It doesn't. People don't score 40 plus on NC State. They are consistently a good defense. And so it is a concern. Like the first quarter is a concern. Absolutely. I don't want to brush it away, but we do have to acknowledge that the rest of the game, the team adjusted, the staff adjusted, which was my biggest takeaway from the game yesterday, in just the way that the staff put the players in better positions. And that's what any player wants. That's what any Marcus Freeman is looking for. Like, hey, this is what NC State is showing us. This is what Notre Dame is doing against what they're showing us. This is what my team looks like. Let's get into some better stuff. And they did. They got Holden Stays. They got Holden Stays going. They got Tobias a big catch. They got players involved. They started doing more switch routes. We're getting them open against the zone. Like, that was a really good job. They schemed up a play for Audric Estime to go 80 yards in the first play right out of the break. I mean, that is coaching. That is what you want. That is putting your players in a position to succeed, and then the players going and executing that what the position that you put them in. Like, that is exactly what you want. And then you have the defense with a good plan throughout the entire game, and they execute the good plan. A bunch of penalties set Notre Dame back defensively, and that allowed NC State to get in a position to score, right? But on the whole, they had a good plan on defense, and they played really well offensively once they started to make adjustments. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we need to look at from speaking as a staff, the staff needs to look at why was our plan so poor? Why were they not ready to execute the plan? Okay, fix those things going forward, right? So that is things to work on, things to fix for the staff. At the same time, they did adjust. 4-quarter game, they made adjustments. They put their players in a good position. They went on, won the game, right? So that is as much of a takeaway as the way that the team, started the game. And that bodes really well. It bodes really, really well for the team. Let's see. CMAX says, watching first three, what do you think will have to be better versus OSU and Duke USC? Pass rush getting home is my top choice. I would not put pass rush amongst mine. I would say better wide receiver play, better handling the blitz. I think pass rush, consistent pressure, I think, is one. I thought this was a really good game from Raleigh Mills from a run standpoint. I thought Howard Cross did a really good job. I don't have like a ton of concerns about the defense, frankly. Like, I felt like they were fine. The penalties they need to go away. That's no good. Can't have those penalties. But to me, it's wide receiver play and blocking, pass blocking, handling the blitz. Sam Hartman dealing with the blitz. Those are the two things. Honestly, I'm not super. Look, Caleb Williams is a whole different problem. That offense is a whole different problem. But I think if Notre Dame wants to do anything, I think the way that they handle blitz pressure, the way that they handle stacked fronts, they obviously are. They're going to play two tight ends a lot. They're going to play Mitchell Evans a ton. It's just going to be a thing. They need to be able to handle that stuff if they're going to play in that way. Those are my main concerns. Notre Dame Superfan says, are we holding back on going for a punt block until OSU? He thinks we are. And while it remains to be seen how well special teams Coach Biaggi will do at Freeman, who values emphasis on special teams. I bet that's true. The thing is like different teams handle punt block different. So like what you show against NC State won't necessarily be what you show against USC or Ohio State or wherever, because they do it different. But if there is something that they've got that they haven't shown, I think they could very well bring it out. Then that's absolutely. Cam Hart had a great game. This is from Annie Davis. He's got to be more physical, more than a playmaker, and he held turf. I don't know what that last part means, Eddie Davis. I think the physicality thing is just not coming because of the shoulder. He's got the shoulder harness now. I just think he can't be that guy anymore, except in certain spots. I think he was credited for 1 tackle on PFF, no tackles on the official box score. But look, if he's just fine, if they're going to be 1 of 5 throwing against him, he's going to be just fine as a player and as a corner for Notre Dame there. CFB Hurt says so much negativity in chat. On a neutral field, would you take Alabama yesterday over ND? I wouldn't. Their defense is in real trouble if they don't find an answer at quarterback. So Alabama to me is the same problem as like Ohio State in a way. The way that Texas beat Alabama is explosives over the top. Can Notre Dame do that? They haven't shown it, right? So whether I think it's possible is kind of besides the point. They haven't shown the ability to go over the top vertical and be explosive that way. And so Alabama would play, like they would send pressure. They would get pressure with their guys. They have really good defensive line. And then offensively, it's just like, yeah, I would not be afraid of Alabama. Defensive, they just, it's the same thing with Tommy Rees. It just can't get his quarterbacks to play the way that he wants. And it's a big problem. And it was a big problem yesterday. And Bama Milroe can't read defense and throw timing. Like Notre Dame's quarterbacks under Rees had problems reading defenses. Tyler Buchner makes the same mistakes as Jalen Milroe does. Same stuff. I thought it was possible Buchner would play. I thought it was possible, but I mean, obviously they believe in Milroe, and that's where they want to go. Any injuries from game besides JD? Did Harper tweak his shoulder? He might have. This is from Aaron Stack. I don't really want to say because the last 2 shows I've said they haven't had injuries, and then Gabriel Rubio was announced out. Drake Bowen was announced out. They've had injuries that haven't been spotted in game. Matt Salerno was another one where he's had a long-term injury, and no one saw that one. So I don't know. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. And hopefully JD heals up from his concussion there. Let's see. Our Zalamea says, can 3-4 deep wide receiver equal wide receiver 1, or can combo of wide receiver, tight end, running back catching the ball be enough to keep defenses honest? It can keep them honest. It's just the way that they have to play. I don't think there's a defense. And look, NC State showed this, and they got burned a couple times, right? They got burned by the tight end. They got burned by Holden Stays kind of over and over again. They have shown they are not really afraid of Notre Dame running by them. They're not afraid of their wide receivers. I do think you need a guy who you are confident can win one-on-one for you, especially if a team gives you a certain look. Like there are certain looks where it's like, hey, if they are like Navy is kind of a perfect example where it's like, if they give you the type of space that Navy does, like you gotta have a guy. It's like, you know what, we're scheming you up and you're just going to go cook. And they don't have that right now. Could be coming, right? We need to give them time to develop too, right? This is Tobias's 3rd real game. Jaden Thomas has not been a wide receiver 1 for, this is his 3rd game as such. So they've got time to develop there. But I don't think you can truly say it's a wide receiver by committee and we're going to have an elite passing offense. You do need someone to step up and be at least, more to at least be more of a threat for the defense on that. Brian Shaw says, thanks for getting back to me on Twitter about the flea flicker. Great work. Hey man, No problem, Brian. And I'm honestly, I'm glad that you asked, because I hadn't gone back and watched that play. And on the reaction show last night, I was a little bit, I was too harsh on the call that Jared Parker made, because it's a three-man front, and they didn't send pressure. He should have. He was very right to expect that. He was very right to expect that they were going to have at least time to run it. And that just did not work out. So let me just check something. It's raining. No, we're good. Okay. He expected he would have had time to do it, and Rocco missed the block, which is not, you don't want that, right? You don't want that. Quest for Greatness says Maris is playing like a man possessed. Absolutely. He was playing with his hair on fire, especially early. He was on it, man. He was really getting a ton of. I think he was credited for 4 pressures yesterday, which is a lot. Let me see here. Let me see. Maris Leofau, Notre Dame's highest graded player at 81.4. Take that with a grain of salt. 4 total pressures from Marist. 5 total tackles, no missed tackles, 2 run stops. Just an absolute beast. Just an absolute beast. I mean, the grades are a grain of salt, but I think that kind of stands up to the eye test there. Donovan Heinisch coming through. 3 tackles, had a sack, 3 stops on defense. That's what you want from your 21 snaps. So good job by him on that one. Quest for Great. I think he's talking about Maris there, getting too deep on the red zone play against Armstrong. Yeah, I mean, it's hard because he's sitting in the middle of the field. Armstrong can go either right or left. He doesn't know which way he's going to go, so that's tough. But on the main, I thought he did a really good job. Oh, terrible spot. CFB hurts. I forget who, but someone on another show mentioned that refs consistently for both teams gave terrible spots. Yeah, it's just not. It's not gonna work out. Like, they're generally bad. They're generally bad, and it's not a ACC thing. Like, no conference likes their refs. No one does. But it's just every time Notre Dame plays on the road, it's in the ACC. It's this way every single time. I mean, it's a disaster. You don't want to see that. And it continues. And look, it's not like it's costing Notre Dame. It's not like it's costing Notre Dame games or anything. What is the streak now against ACC? Now 24 games, 25, 26, 27, 28. It's just not costing them games. But it's annoying. I'd say it's annoying is an understatement. It's just kind of like the conferences and the body, I guess the NCAA, or what are they going to do about it? Like, they need to do a better job of getting, their referees trained, ready to go. It's just not good. It's inconsistent, and it's very frustrating to watch. What's not frustrating to watch for me is anytime I see a video from VSR Media, which was founded by Notre Dame football pregame host and Emmy Award-winning anchor Fahid Sadrazadeh. The VSR Media provides professional and cinematic video and photo. Whether you're looking for a collegiate or pro-level highlight reel, have a personal story to tell, or aiming to diversify and grow your business, VSR Media specializes in short and long-form video storytelling, social media management, and website design. VSR Media also captures professional headshots, senior, and sports photos. Contact them at vsrmediacompany.com and mention Irish Sports Daily to receive 20% off your first project. Visit them online or give them a call at 574-800-9106. Let's see. Yeah, Quest for Greatness. Please hit the like. Please hit subscribe. Please hit the notification bell if you haven't done so already. That would be awesome. And I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Tom Frawley says, I do love the way Marcus got the ref's attention after one of those bad calls. Love Marcus. He was going crazy on the I'm not done yet, Aaron Stack. Don't worry. I'm still going. He was going crazy about the Ben Morrison thing. And look, he called it. Like, I think that I love it. I love him saying, like, look, you got a player in his face and he's trying to get him out of his face and he's standing over him and he's taunting him. And then you call the flag on Morrison for getting him out of his face. Like, why are you allowed to do that? Why is the player allowed to taunt him like that? And Morrison can't have any kind of response. Like, to me, you either call it on both or you call it on nobody. You can't let one person do something that's illegal and then another person gets banged for it. Like, it's just, that can't happen. Like, it's a disgrace. Like I said earlier in the show, that it's a disgraceful call. Everyone sees it. Everyone sees what the wide receiver is doing. Why are you letting him do that? That should not happen. And it can't happen. And it's terrible. And they need to do better. It's just period. So I love Marcus Freeman getting on him about that. This just can't happen. Whoa, Nelly says, regarding Tyree being caught by a linebacker, he was trying to set up blocks to cut inside. He wouldn't have scored by simply spraying down the sideline. That is a true statement. That is a true statement. He was not going to score. So Tom Frawley says, McPherson averaged 50.2 yards per punt, All-American numbers. Absolutely. Bryce McPherson is an absolute cannon for a leg. I mean, he's sending the ball. He's got the little running kick too, where he moves to the side and bangs it. I mean, those are big plays. Spencer Schrader has an absolute howitzer, not a howitzer. What's a better? I don't want to use cannon again because you just said it for Bryce McPherson. That 56-yarder, that is like halfway up the pole. I mean, that is an absolute bomb. I mean, his leg is so strong. He's good from 60. I mean, it's like a wet day too. It's not off a turf. He's good from 60 yards, 63 yards. So that's going to be something to monitor going forward, like where Notre Dame can kick field goals from. That's going to be important to point out. Thank you for pointing out the flea flicker segment, Rajon. Look, I take great pride in my segues for the ads. You know, I think it adds. I think it adds to the ads. You know, we have VSR Media, we have ESQ. They're very nice. A cruise missile. I like that. Quest for Greatness is a cruise missile of a leg. I like that. Yeah, he can really bomb it. Tom Frawley says Tom Frawley is all about the special teams. The Rigneys are just so fired up by contributions to the chat today. Those punts flip the field at crucial times. Absolutely, that is 100% correct. They needed big punts, and he gave it to them. He did a great job there. All right, a couple other things that I wanted to point out. I've got some video. I got a video of the way Notre Dame got Holden Stays open over the seam on the first big pass that he caught. And Notre Dame loves to run those switch routes against against zone coverage, kind of zone beaters, putting the corner in a bind. I recommend everyone goes and checks those out. At Greg2126, if you didn't know that, that's my handle on Twitter. Brian Shaw says, would it be uncharacteristic to see a change at the guard spots against Central Michigan? It would be uncharacteristic, and it would be a mistake. They should not do that. You could get guys more time, but I think that while Coogan and Spindler struggled in this game, they weren't like, you know, sieves or anything like that, like just like unplayable. Like that wasn't the case. They struggled at times with something that they have seen for the first time against a defense of this caliber. There's no way you pull the plug on that. No. If you want, and Andrew Kostofik is showing you something, if Andrew Kostofik is showing you something in practice, or if Billy Schrouth is showing you something in practice where it's like, oh, these guys, like, they deserve a chance, that's one thing. But to make a change, not something I would do. I think that would be an overreaction. And like you need, because here's the thing. Let's say you make a change and you see some of the same stuff against Central Michigan, and you want to go back to Spindler and Coogan. Well, now they've got uh Ohio State coming in. Is that what you want? Like you want shuffling offensive line with Ohio State coming to town? Like that's not what I want. I don't want that. I don't think Notre Dame wants that. I think you stick with those guys. They played well in the first 2 games. They're going to go through this stuff. You got to weather the storm. You got to play good football. That's it. You got to play good football while you're learning. And I think Notre Dame has done that. Able Gaming says, "What are your thoughts on Stanford? They look defeated from the start of the ball game." I think they're like CFB Hurt says they're a bad football team. They're a bad team. They have a new coach. They always lose players to the portal. They don't they don't recoup those losses through the portal. It's hard to get players in the school. What was the final score of that game? I didn't even see. I had turned it off and then I went to bed because I had to get ready for this show. So someone tell me the final score of that game. Let's see. Tom Frawley says another component was the timely offensive play calling adjustments. Jared Parker helps ease our BK and Reese PTSD. It's only going to get better because Parker is using Notre Dame's depth. Yeah, I mean, I talked about that early in the show. 49-3. Okay, that's not good. I talked about that early in the show about how Jared Parker set up the offense to make plays and to and set the players up in a better situation to get them in more advantageous positions than early in the game. And that is coaching. 56-10 final. Okay. Could have been worse, probably. Could have been much worse. Put the players in position to make plays and give them a chance to be more successful than they were early in the game. That's coaching. That's exactly what you want from coaches all the time. And that amongst anything else is the best, like the best evidence that Jared Parker is going to do a good job, because that's what coaching is. Like it's play calling, yes, but it's also like, okay, what we're doing, what we started to do initially isn't working. Let's get our players into a better position to make plays. And then you go and do that. And that's what they did. Now, granted, he is not going to get an hour and 45 minutes to think about what they did early in the game, right? Like he is not going to get that opportunity. But at the same time, NC State also had an hour and 45 minutes to look at what Notre Dame was doing, and they didn't do as well with their adjustments. So that's something to be said. So big moment for Jared Parker, and he came through. All right, everybody. I need to end it there. I've got my daughter's soccer game in 29 minutes. And so I've got to go get to that. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please hit like, please hit subscribe, please hit the notification bell. Jamie and I will be back on Tuesday going over this game. It's going to be another mailbag show, as always, and talking about Central Michigan as well. Check out my Twitter feed at Greg2126. I'll be posting videos from this game, breakdowns, and all those things. Check out irishsportsdaily.com. Tons of content from the game, write-ups, instant reactions from Jamie. All very, very good stuff. So thank you, everybody. Enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy the NFL football, and we will talk to you on Tuesday.